Dear agents, dear guests, thank you so much for coming in. This is Gregory, who you've all been introduced to. Hi, Andrea. Hi, this should give you a fantastic amount of information to give your clients in the 2019 coming year. So get the most out of it, and please ask Gregory to be a resource to you in the future, as well as any questions that you have today. So enjoy.
Okay. Hi everyone. First, thank you very much. I want to thank your office for allowing us this opportunity for partnering up and the community partnership. I'm going to be presenting today on behalf of BMO for mortgage financing, the technicalities and everything to do with the mortgage itself. Joining me is going to be my partner from CMHC, Andrea. She is on her way. So we're going to have 2 segments. We can take as many breaks you want in between. Please, we don't want to be very formal. If you have any questions, interrupt me at any moment. What we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to go through our presentation deck, some of the information you might know. It's just going to be a reminder. Then, on Orissa's request, I want to go more into the technical parts of mortgage and mortgage qualification. I'm pretty sure all of you work with mortgage specialists, so my role is not new for you guys. However, we just want to highlight why would you benefit from working with BMO. As you know, BMO is a major national flagship, and we have branches all over the place. We are federally regulated and accountable, hence everything we do and say has to be backed up with 100% facts. I have to kind of state that because we had a lot of clientele running to us at the 11th hour because they were dealing with brokers. Now, this is not intended to slash brokers or anything. However, we have seen 11th hour clients running in, brokers dropped the ball, and we're going to be working day and night to save the file. That being said, I just want to emphasize that we are federally regulated and we are accountable for everything we do. So, BMO Mortgage Specialists can help you grow your business. We can help you expand your network and increase your market exposure and reward you for your referrals. Nowadays, people are more into the market. They know what's happening. They listen to the media, look at Facebook and so on and so forth. And all this talk about mortgages and how hard they are, what they're trying to do is they're trying to go to the banks first to get their pre-approval before they approach their agents, just so there isn't any, oh, I didn't know, so on and so forth. So when you partner with us, let's say, by the way, this is Adam, the branch manager at BMO, right on the corner. They come in for a referral to do their checkup. They want to do their pre-approved mortgage application. And once it's done, we'll be more than glad to say, hey, if you don't have an agent, we have the Keller Williams office, great people. And you will have access to us 24/7, all our staff, any questions that you have. And with that, Adam is going to make sure that for all your clients, we have special packages. So it's not like, oh, just go see Adam, he's a good guy. There's going to be an added value. Alrighty. So, as a AAA bank, we usually take the charge on a lot of the market's pricing. For example, if you guys remember, in the beginning of last year, BMO had the 1% off prime rate for over 3 months. We have humongous resources of funding, and we allocate that to the clients. All our partners were very, very pleasant by seeing that. It was a matter of just getting to connect to your clients, having all this open communications. Some of them, they had renewals coming up. Traditionally, they just stayed and rolled over with their own bank. However, because we went and presented in other offices, they knew that our promotions are coming up. A lot of the clients switched to us, and they were happy because they just spoke to their agent, and their agent referred them. So that's part of what we do, open communication. Financial checkup is very important as well. I myself, unlike you, I am a commission driven, so pretty much we eat where we hunt. That being said, timing is very important for all of us. So we have to make sure that our clientele are qualified, so that when there is that particular house and the particular property that they see, we can go in and execute. The market is very competitive nowadays, and a lot of other agents are there with their clients. Usually sellers, they don't want to waste time, so they're looking at the one that comes in with no condition per se. I'm pretty sure you're more knowledgeable in that area than me. So what we do is we prepare them, we have them ready for the market, and of course, you know, we will listen to you of what is it that the client is looking for. We have to be realistic. So if a client comes in, hey, this is what I want, but this is what they qualify for, we have to have that open communication in order for you to know what's happening as well. One thing I need to emphasize, our deals are 180, approved to 180 days once it's approved, and we have the highest rate guarantees in the market. Other banks guarantee the rate only for 120 days. We guarantee it for 130 days. So that's an added bonus for the client. We are mobile, so no excuse per se for the client. You want to meet us morning, evening, your workplace, coffee shop, we're available. So we eliminate that part of the argument. Now we're going to go to the bit more technical benefits when we do with our products. Family care options. All our mortgages have the insurance protection. So when I'm saying insurance protection, now I'm not talking about CMHC, job loss, disability, life, and critical illness. We will tailor-made it to whatever it is their financial situation or family situation see fit. Mortgage cash account. Most of our fixed mortgages, they have a cash account component. Anyone familiar with the cash account? All right, so what it is when you are paying your mortgage payments, sometimes people do accelerated payments. Once it surpasses its scheduled payment, we create a shadow account called mortgage cash account. So all the residual gets deposited in that. Let's say in year two, they deposited around $7,000 to $8,000 extra, and the client had some needs. Instead of going to borrow from a line of credit or from a line, so we don't know the financial situation, they may or may not qualify at that time. They can just make a call to their financial services manager at the bank, and we can give them whatever is in the mortgage cash account back and add it to the value of the mortgage. It's a simple application, right? It should take like an hour or so. So prepayment option, we have very generous prepayment options. Some of the banks, they have only 10% prepayment option, some 15. However, we have 20% depending on the product. Most of our products are 20% calendar year of the principal amount. So let's say if you have $100,000 mortgage, 20% of that's $20,000 from every it's January 1st to December 31st. You can apply it. We do not have any anniversary days, any restrictions. You just have to make a phone call or visit your local branch, and that could be done. Take the break option. We understand people have, sometimes difficult situations, economics and all. Every mortgage of ours has skip a payment option. At one time, in the life of that particular mortgage, we will allow you to skip a payment with no harm or foul to your credit. All this information are available on our website. You can guys visit it, or you can give me a call, or any financial services rep can help you out with it. Mortgage solution itself, we have the CMHC improved funding. Some of the mortgage products that we do qualify for CMHC improvement funding. Improvement funding, it is, for example, purchase plus improvement. Let's say you buy a house. Once you there's a specific scale to it. Let's say you did $25,000 to $40,000, up to $50,000 renovations. We can do the purchase plus the improvement. Once the improvements are done, all the receipts go in and we'll blend in that particular amount into the mortgage. A CRA home buyers plan, which is a first-time buyers plan. Some people come in and they don't have very financial savvy, so they never contributed to your RSPs and so on and so forth. What we allow them to do is to deposit the funds into their RSPs, and sometime after we use those monies in order to put it as a first-time home buyer plan, so they can get the tax benefit and use the same amount of funds for their home buyer plan. Mortgage default insurance, which is the CMHC. Some clientele, depending on their financial situation or the employment situation, will not qualify on a regular basis. So we have to refer them to the CMHC program. Once that insurance is applied, then we will be able to approve that loan for them. We are known for new Canadians, our non-residence program. We have one of the best programs. We'll get into it in a minute. Tax credits for first-time home buyers and more will help you. Will help you identify the areas that you qualify. In conjunction with your accountant and so on and so forth. Most of our staff are trained for those things versus just you going and trying to Google information by yourself. Market exposure, the partnership of the partnership of the market. Anytime you guys want to do an open house, we're there to help. You want us to tag along with you, you'll have a mortgage specialist right there on the spot, helping you out if there's an interested buyer. I do this all the time. People sometimes they'll come off the street without their agent. They start talking, oh, how much would that the mortgage is? How much would that be? Right away, I'll have my laptop there. I'll give them a financial checkup. Again, there's nobody needs to pretty much, nobody is forced to take our business. It's just we're there to facilitate some extra bonuses. So, like I said, we have a lot of clients that they come to our offices in order to get a pre-approval, and part of the conversation, do you have an agent you're working with, which area are you looking in? Most of the time, they don't have an agent, so we'll be glad to refer them to the broker house that are partnered with us, hence the community network. Any questions for now? All right. Either I'm doing really well or really bad. Again, sometimes I skip the queue, but we will help you first-time home buyer seminars, investment seminars. For example, I've seen a lot of enthusiastic real estate agents. What they do is they'll have a bunch of friends that they're first-time buyers, maybe they have some residual income, they want to do something. What they do is they'll have like 4 or 5 people gatherings. They'll sit in a coffee shop and he'll do his presentation, and or he or she, and I'll do the financial analysis after. Housing market seminars, new to Canada seminars. This is something to assist you with your own agenda. If you have a certain clientele you want to target, the community center, that they have no newcomers to Canada, we're there to assist. And of course, we reward you for your referrals. For all the again, you can share such this information on our website. However, we will pay you your referrals in air miles, and with that air miles, I'm pretty sure all of you are familiar with it. You can convert it to cash or to any kind of award program. I have to say it's restricted in Alberta, so it's a disclaimer. Now, income qualified program, owner occupied. Guys, this is now becoming a bit technical. Feel free to jump in if you have any questions, even if it's not related to this. A lot of people will come and ask you, well, I'm new to Canada, I don't have any papers, and how do I approach? What is it that I need to do except having a bundle of cash to pay everything out? So part of things that you need to keep in mind in order for you to steer the conversation, everything that is in Toronto and the GTA, you know, where there's a default insurance mortgage and non-default insurance mortgages. For both of them, if they are not in Toronto, we can only consider 50% gross gross of the rental income. So for example, if they're buying a property in Canada, some people don't want to invest in it, they're from out of Canada, they come here for the first time, they have clients or they have cousins, they talk to them, oh, Caledon's a great area, I'm just using it as an example. It's gonna go crazy, you might want to buy some property over there. So in order for us, then, and the math that they do is, oh, well, you know what, if I can rent this for like $3,000 a month, it's all good, it's gonna carry the mortgage. But that's not the way it works. The way it works is anything outside of the GTA would only take 50% of the... Hello.
Hi,
This is Andrea from CMHC.
My apologies for being late.
That's all right. So we only consider 50% outside of GTA. However, inside GTA and the greater concentrations will give you 80% of the rental value. And this is something for BMO only. We're one of the more generous ones on the market. Income qualifications. There are a few items that you guys need to know, and this is changing because of the new regulations. Whenever sometimes, especially in Toronto, there are a lot of, let's say, single-family dwellings with rented basements. It's not legally conforming, or let's say you'll have a duplex with a basement. The way the regulation is struck, unless it's legally conforming by the city, we cannot count that particular income. So on paper, let's say on the regular mathematics, it might make sense that, oh, you know what, this will carry the mortgage, so on and so forth if we take this income. However, when it comes to the bank, with the new regulations, and this is not a BMO thing, it's a Bank of Canada thing, if the house is designated as a duplex, there's two incomes that we can use. Now, if it has a basement, if it's legally conforming, and there's a fire department paper or from the city, we can capture that. Without that, it will not be captured. Or if the only reason they did that is Mr. Taxman wants to collect. That's the whole reasoning for it. So if you have a basement unit that is in the city of Toronto, if you can prove that that the taxes were paid for it, and the only way to do that is throughout your T776, which is in your tax return, in the statement of real estate activities. If it's claimed over there, then it can be used. If it's not, they have to wait for the following year till the taxes are filed. There isn't no ifs, buts about it, or if it's a really a necessity, they just have to apply for the city, and an inspector should come and give them a letter that is legally conforming. Go ahead.
What percentage of basement income do you allow?
Again, it goes back to the previous,
80% of basement?
that is in total. As long as it's in the city of Toronto, we'll give them 80%. If that's what, 1 unit, 2 unit, 3, let's say it's a triplex, right?
Yeah.
No matter what is it, the third floor or the fourth floor or whichever it is. This is the income, 80% of it. If let's say you have 1,200, 1,300, okay, and 1,000, and it's all legally conforming, we just take, we sum it, and we'll give you 80% of that. Outside of Toronto, it's 50%. Now, you tell me it's a duplex with a basement, we'll only take the top two at 80%. Unless you can prove that the bottom one, the taxes are paid, or it's legally conforming. So anywhere in sometimes we make, it depends on the distance, sometimes we make the exceptions in Mississauga as well, because it's still a major hub. However, you tell me there's, let's say, a property in, I don't know, King City. I don't know, King City is becoming, however, it's still not a downtown Toronto. Like downtown Toronto, parking gets vacant, 2 days, pretty much it's gone. Please.
So it still can be non-legally conforming, but if you pay taxes, you'll use
Correct.
it.
You know?
That's good.
I want to say when you pay taxes, it has to be reflective
Yeah.
on it. Now, in coming seminars, I'll give you a drill down of exactly how those are calculated. Because just because it's in there doesn't mean, you know, oh, it's automatically qualified. Reason why? Some people, like accountants nowadays, by default, when you show up to their door, they don't sit down and talk to you. It's like, oh, you know, what are your plans in the next 2-3 years? You know, and let's see how you have to pay your taxes. It's all about, I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to pay taxes. Like it's just embedded in their head. So what they do is they'll put that income there, but they'll write it off completely. So when we're looking at it, minus $2,000. Well, how is that gonna really help?
So, in the event of a purchase of the duplex with a basement unit, where it's new ownership going in,
Yes.
you have to have the retrofit or the legally conforming because there's no tax certification.
Correct.
The tax certification will come
Correct.
with the renewal or
Yes.
application.
Absolutely. Now, one thing we have to always, like I always tell people, street common sense is not bank common sense. Like just because that's how it is. Yes, I am collecting $3,000, but for the bank, with the regulations that we have, no, you're not. You know, this is minus that, this is minus that. So, anyhow, we'll do that in a different seminar. And this is for the default insurance. I'm going to skip this. I'm going to leave it to my partner if I'm doing it. She'll go through it with you guys. One other program that we have is the self-employed professionals out of Canada. So we have like a lot of professionals that they're coming, migrating to Canada, like engineers and financial professionals, medical professionals. And those are legitimate people. It's just a matter of them spending some time to get all their papers together, and they're gonna find very lucrative employment. That being said, there are two tranches with them. One of them, let's say, a professor from an American university, a PhD, comes in, he's gonna start teaching in UFT. Well, we know where's that going. You know, it's just a matter of time and him coming in, all the documents being in order, and he's going to get his salary. So as long as we have some kind of history of him, for example, we'll put an American Credit Bureau on him, we get a letters of recommendation, we'll make it work. Now, you know, he's a professional, but you know, we pull his bureau and it's a disaster. You know, well, that's a one-off situation. We've seen things like this. However, what we concentrated on were the new professionals coming in. And we have, like, for example, the last one I dealt with, the guy was a big financier in Shanghai. Now, we can't confirm anything here in Toronto. However, the guy brought us all his bank statements, so on and so forth, and we looked at it. Okay, well, that's what it's all there. So we made a case for him. High net worth, again, this is, it touches up on the same subject, full disclosure. So we have two types. The ones that they come in, they're applying their medical licenses to becoming doctors. Those are partial disclosure or non-disclosure because we don't have financial information to disclose. However, the full disclosure is that the guy got transferred from from New Zealand. He's a surgeon in New Zealand. He came to Canada. We have a letter from St. Mike's that he's employed over there. Although he just started, this is an employment letter. All is good. Because with the new Bank of Canada regulations, you have to have certain amount of time in your employment. We have to show facts, especially when you didn't declare any taxes. And the issue with that is some people will say, well, you know, is he employed? Yes, but doctors are self-employed. So we don't know from that $200,000 how much you're going to write off. But we'll take it with a grain of salt that, you know, it's a lucrative profession and he will be paying his mortgage. So, again, in another seminar, I mean, to respect everyone's timeline, I will not dwell on it so much. And just to give you a rule of thumb, for newcomers to Canada, we need minimum 65%, 35% down. 65% loan to value is what's going to be the mortgage amount. Now, on top of that, there's a sliding scale. Up to $2 million, we'll give you 65% mortgage, given that your numbers qualify. Over that, we'll give you 50% of the remaining balance. And as you see, it changes. When it comes to partial disclosure or non-disclosure, the percentages over here change from 40% to 50%. The more confident level we have, the more of your money, of our money you're gonna get. We already touched upon all this. Mixed zoning and residential commercial. Prior, there was a very hard stop of properties having mixed zoning. Nowadays we're kind of leaning towards because a lot of the engineering is changing in the new buildings. So nowadays on the floor level, you're gonna see a lot of live-in work type of condo units. Before banks had issues with like hotel units, which we still do. We don't finance anything that is into a hotel or has a hotel component. However, the live-in work, now we start to finance those. Again, it depends on the building itself. We have a few blacklisted buildings that we do not deal with, and the reason for that is they have lawsuits going, the foundation was cracked, and there's ongoing issues with the builders, so those are what we avoid. And if you guys want, you can give us a call, we'll tell you, okay, this one we do not finance. And I think CMHC usually, yeah, CMHC has the list, and everything is driven by their list. Cash bonus program, so we have a campaign going. But every client that switched their mortgage to us, we'll give him $1,000. That will be either incorporated into his mortgage, into his account, and so on and so forth. There are a bit of qualifications, which has to be minimum $150,000 in a switch mortgage, nothing below that. With that, we'll give them the 1-year free banking plan, 1-year free small safety deposit box, and plus. Again, try to reach out to your branch manager. I'll be more than glad to facilitate tailor-made programs for your clients as an added value. Again, this is the same thing from November 1st, 2018 to February 28, 2019. Whoever moves their mortgage to us, $150,000, has to be in a 4-year fixed or greater product, they will get $1,000 cash bonus.
What's your rate right now?
It depends on the product. We have anything from the 1 year to 5 year, the variable, the fixed. So don't look at the posted rates most of the time. If you need anything, call me or call the branch manager, because we will apply the discount that we can. Sometimes what they do is, because a lot of the other banks, they put some numbers out there. Usually we have all the banks try to keep it at par, but just don't look at the computer and say, oh, that's what it is, not very attractive. Reach out to us. They are the additional discounts that we can apply.
But for a 5-year fix
5-year
right
fix,
now, what
yeah.
is like your best rate that you can?
Well, I just did one because the client had came in some time ago. I advanced it to 3.79. Nowadays, the posted rate is 3.8 something. So it's always good to get the client involved. I myself, like sometimes I don't know if I'm going to buy something or not. I just put an application, because it's been crazy what's happening with the rate. We were on an all-time low, and suddenly we just had this big spike going on. So, second option, as a salesperson, I always had a motto. Like I used to talk with clients, I told them, look, you know what, maybe we're not meant to do business with each other, which is fine, However, 15 minutes of conversation with me will make you run back to your bank to renegotiate. So that is the added value that I always wanted to give the client, because look, there are a lot of mortgage specialists, so I try to differentiate myself in some quality things. Having a conversation with them of, wait, what is your plan in the next 5 years? If you want to buy another 2 properties, you know the qualifying process, maybe you should go back to your accountant and change the way that your taxes are done in order for you to qualify. Because what happens is, oh, let's save on taxes. Okay, that's fantastic. Now it comes, you're gonna buy your house. Uh-oh, I don't qualify on a regular bank process. So what I have to do is I have to go to the secondary market, to the private market, pay higher interest rate, and pay fees on top of it. And then if you equate it, I'm like, damn, I should have just paid the taxes and got it over with. So, well, this one I have to read. That's my claim to fame. As a Bank of Montreal mortgage specialist, I am committed to fully understanding your clients' home financing needs and providing them with outstanding service and personalized solutions. I can meet with you and your clients at their home or office, night or day. For convenient mortgage services for your clients, contact me. Yours truly, Gregory Astourian. So, any questions, guys?
With regards to RRSPs, I know for first-time buyers they can use their RRSP, but I also read somewhere that you could also, there's ways of using it if you were to buy a second home on an investment property, use your RRSPs again, even though you're not a first-time buyer.
Yeah, okay. By law, I have to tell you that I am not qualified to answer that question because you have to go to a specific financial advisor for that. However, anyone can draw their RRSPs at any given time. Now, there's a process. If you're for the first-time home buyer, you do not pay taxes. The government will allow you a certain amount up to 14 years, right?
15 years, 25,000.
Yeah, 14 years to repay it back.
14 years and 25,000?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the limit. Now, there's like a lot of people, they put it in and you don't know how life stirs you. They want to take it out, then there's something called hardship. So instead of having all this money, sitting there and doing nothing for me that I'm not going to use for another 15 years, I'll pay the taxes on it. So you just send a letter with the FSM, the Financial Services Manager, in the bank that you're dealing with. They'll send the documents. You'll get taxed, and the money will be transferred to you. Again, Adam will be more qualified to answer that question. Am I missing something, Adam?
Oh, so you will be, I was under the impression you wouldn't be taxed. There's some way of using it again.
Oh, no.
No.
So from my knowledge, for this particular purpose,
Okay.
you'll be taxed. So, any other questions, guys?
Where do you see rates going in the next 6 months?
Look, in the next 6 months, if I have a magical ball, I'll be regulation, I wouldn't be here, but we've been on an all-time low. We did some the government put some mechanics in order to just not get this thing out of control, which I kind of agree with to a certain extent. This is my personal opinion. I'm not talking about, this is not me being a part of BMO. I'm talking about my own personal opinion. So, like back in the day when we purchased our father's house, when we came here and we bought a house, it was $350,000. Yes, everything went up, I get that. But now, you want the same house, same neighborhood, dated, nothing into it. It's almost $2 million. Okay, I understand. We're major house people coming in. But how are our kids gonna be able to afford any kind of property over here? So the government had this, let's say, they wanted to cool off the market, which to some point I agree with. However, the way it was done, personally, I think it was too aggressive. And they raised the interest rate in order to catch up with the rest of the world, because what Florida did is contain the situation. Like they got rid of the 40-year amortization. The 35-year amortization is 30 years right now. That contained the market a bit, and then they brought in the laws for the newcomers and so on and so forth, the taxes. Now, that being said, they started catching up with the other G7 countries, increasing our interest rate. In my opinion, I think the last one was a bit too much. If you read all the economists and what they're saying, like the last one I read was from CIBC, and our economists are just putting up their paper right now. They said this is not going to continue going, and they're seeing 2020 that the rates are going to go down again because it's too much for the market to handle at this point. We have a lot of outstanding matters, like we have the NAFTA is not resolved yet. We're shutting facilities over here. If you look at our export, we're one of the lowest in the G20 countries. So what is this going? The only saving grace that we have is Canada is a place that people love to come, and they're coming in with new money. So my personal opinion is they're gonna go higher. They may test it one more time, but I think that will be the end of that. Because when it comes to qualification, a lot of people are, falling off grace and they're not qualifying. So what's the end?
Quarter point, half point, what are we looking at for June?
In the next year or so, I personally think they might raise it another quarter, but that will be that. They already raised it so many times. Like to the point that for the average person that is living from paycheck to paycheck, it just becomes an issue. All right, you know what, you locked yourself in a few years ago, that's fantastic, that's your monthly payment. Okay, now comes to renewal, let's say you just got in, rolled in, fantastic. But if you're paycheck to paycheck, you're gonna be rolled in with the new numbers, and this will give you $150, $200 more in mortgage payments that are off your table. You might manage to pay it once or twice, but the lack of that income is going to make you borrow it either through your line of credit or a credit card, and that's where the snowball starts. So if I can figure this out, I'm pretty sure the big economists in the golden tower of the government can figure that one out too. So I think what they're doing right now is just testing to get more data of what's happening, but I don't think they have bad intentions toward Canadians. They're just trying to do, to make the best decision with the data that they have. Hey, maybe, they say, in 6 months from now, oof, the numbers are really scary. You know what? We need to lower this. And that's why there's like a lot of researches happening, a lot of data is being collected through Equifax and CMHC, just to incorporate that to see like, okay, well, what's happening. But I think just in my personal opinion, it went a bit too far. All right.
Okay.
So any other? I'm just still gonna be here, guys. Andrea's gonna take over right now. Andrea, you guys want to take a break?
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Yeah. Guys, don't worry about my address on the card. I'm mobile, so you just choose your branch and you just put that address for mailing purposes. Any other question, guys?
Where do you usually get your information in regards to economy, forecasting?
Yeah, I read a lot. That's a personal choice. But you just go Google The Economist. We have the Bank of Montreal that updates us all the time. That's one thing. But I like just to read other opinions as well and gather my own. Every economist, when they're going to put a paper out there, the first sentence they use, everything being equal. So it's a best guess kind of thing on the data that they have. So sometimes, I read 4 out of 4 have the same idea. Sometimes, two of them have a different idea. I'm like, I never thought about it that way. But it's a personal exercise for me. The government of Canada has like a lot of posts on their website. Sometimes it's really boring. And you just if you like reading, I like it because I get that question asked a lot, and I can't just blow away up per se. I need to have when the client asks me financial question in my particular department, I need to be able to answer it and back it up with some kind of data. Sorry.
Oh, you have another question?
I have
sorry.
another question. So recently, what's the most popular product for your mortgages? For instance, is it 5-year fixed or they're, 2 years? What do you find
All right,
people
so there are two tranches of people for that. Some of them are very terrified of what's going to happen. However, they know that this is what they're going to live for a while. They're locking it right away. Whatever happens, happens. The other ones that they were like, okay, you know what? I don't know what's happening. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to afford this. They're saying, you know what? I'll take the most break that I can get right now, which is in the variable product, and because if I get forced to sell, at least maybe my penalty is 3 months interest penalty. It's nothing. It was back in the day we had like a variation of products. Now it's either the 5-year fix or the variable, like very, very low in between.
What is your variable rate right now?
Right now, we'll with best effort, we can get you up to 0.80 off prime.
Okay, so that would be,
Prime is 2.95, so 3.15. All right, we're good? All right.
All right, so good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Sabatini. I'm an account manager with CMHC, been with the company for 11 years, in the mortgage industry for about altogether 17. I don't want to age myself too much. But I am here in partnership with Gregory. So Bank of Montreal, we have great relationships with them, with our head office, and we actually partner with BMO all across Canada. So that is why I'm here today, helping you really increase your value and enhance your knowledge about CMHC. So it's very informal. Please ask any questions. What I'm going to do is provide an industry update and let you know how CMHC can support your business with the data that we can provide. Is anyone new to mortgages, new to being a realtor? Perfect.
Not being a mortgage, just need to be a realtor.
A realtor. Awesome. So CMHC has been in the business for over 70 years. We've been helping millions of Canadians have access to quality and affordable homes. We are the most experienced insurer, we like to say that. And we've been here through the good and the bad of the economic times. And we're very committed to supporting our approved lenders and their clients' business. So their clients meaning you and your clients. So CMHC, we are a default insurer. So essentially we're protecting the lender in case your clients do default on their mortgage. Right now is a great time to have an insured mortgage because interest rates are relatively low. I believe, hopefully I'm saying that right, but competitively it seems like insured rates are much lower. That being said, because we are protecting the bank, that is why it's a benefit for also financial institutions to have business insured. But we're more than just default insurance. I wanted to share a video with you.
More than an address or a structure, a home is the building block of family and society that gathers us and holds us together, no matter where we're from. We open the door and feel secure in our place in the community, in our country. Your own apartment, your own home, your own place to make memories, take comfort, and build a better future. It is a powerful ideal that is linked by the strongest of bonds to our identity as a nation. That's why for more than 70 years, no single organization has been more fundamental to building an inclusive housing system than Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. From the biggest cities to the smallest towns of this vast country, housing matters to all Canadians. Helping Canadians meet their housing needs is what we do. Our nationally facilitates access to rental housing and allows qualified Canadians to become homeowners. Just as important is ensuring our lenders have reliable access to funds, providing more choices for Canadians to find a mortgage, no matter where they live. That's good for the home buyer, for our housing system, and for the financial stability of our country. When it comes to opening doors for Canadians, our people are at the forefront, offering support, guidance, and expertise in the field, and creating comprehensive tools and resources for housing sector professionals. The research we do and the data we collect and analyze allows us to provide unrivaled insight to an evolving marketplace. It helps mortgage professionals become more informed about what their clients want and expect. It allows developers to supply properties that meet those demands, and it informs decisions by all levels of government on policy and investment in Canada's housing market. We know adequate housing creates the conditions for success. Working with our partners, we help support affordable housing for all Canadians, including seniors, Indigenous, low-income households, and other vulnerable people in Canada. Our quality of life is considered one of the best in the world. It's no accident that Canada's housing system is held up as an example of what we can all accomplish when we use innovation and passion to keep moving forward. Home is at the heart of our country. For many Canadians, it starts with us.
So our mandate at CMUC is to house Canadians, and this video is a true reflection of all what we do. Just to give you an idea about our business, so for the first half of 2018, we provided $1.5 billion towards housing programs. So there are a variety of programs within CMHC to help Canadians who should not be able to qualify for a traditional mortgage. And we've also provided $75 billion in new security. So our guarantee program really is a benefit for the whole financial system, and it also gives lenders an affordable way to provide mortgage financing. And we've insured half this year about 107,000 new loans. So of those new loans, I know you're asking a question, you know, fixed or variable. So for on the insurance side, 80% of the new home buyers chose a fixed over variable. It made sense in the first half because rates were much lower than they are now. And down payment average was 7.54%. So from our last consumer survey, it is stated that insured home buyers, you know, it's difficult for them to afford getting into housing, let alone saving for the 5% down payment, and they're getting that down payment from mom and dad. That is what the survey told us. As well as the average credit score is 754, and arrears rate hovers between 0.29 to 0.32, so it's relatively low. You know, in number-wise, it's about 6,000 loans that go into default on average, so that was the first half. So last year, so don't quote me, it's just an average. And as well as our business last year, 65% of them were first-time home buyers. So if you're looking for, you know, ways to drum up and strategize how I can increase my business revenue, think about a first-time home buyer seminar. You can partner with myself and Gregory, and we can come out and share the value to consumers who are looking to get into housing. Does anyone have questions? So Canada is one of the best financial systems here in Canada, but the fact is 1.7 million Canadians do not have a home. They don't have the basic necessities like you or I. And so last year the Government of Canada released an announcement of first ever national housing strategy. It's geared to help low income and middle class Canadians get into housing. It's a $40 billion initiative, and CMHC is privileged to be a part of that. So what's going to happen is that we're going to increase the housing stock by 100,000 across Canada and rebuild and reinvest 300,000 purpose-built rentals, bring them back up to code, make these homes a safe place for Canadians to live. So we are hoping in all of that we cut homelessness in half. Which is a great initiative, of course. So just getting right into a market update. So really for the 9th consecutive quarter, there there continues to be a very high degree of vulnerability in the Toronto and the Vancouver markets. We've been hearing that year over year. However, this year is a little bit different. We've seen easing in valuations, and really it's likely due to tighter mortgage rules, higher interest rates, and a lower, more of a weaker growth in inflation, and that's why you're seeing lower housing prices or reduced in some areas. So I have our chief economist, Bob Dugan.
Can you
Yes.
just pop back up for a second there?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, most of us are only concerned with Toronto. All right, so Toronto's got yellow, yellow, red, green, but it's red overall. So how do we average up to the,
Sorry? So what we're saying is that the vulnerability is really in the red, the over-evaluation, right? When we're comparing it to housing prices versus our disposable income, it's not matching. So that is why it's a vulnerability in the marketplace, which is why it's red. But we have seen easing in valuation in some markets because of the fact that it's harder for clients to really afford a mortgage. Okay, so here I'm just going to give you our most up-to-date forecast for 2019.
The key takeaway from our forecast is that housing markets are expected to moderate in 2019 and 2020. Both new home starts and existing home sales are expected to moderate from recent high levels, while MLS prices are expected to become more in line with economic fundamentals such as income growth, rising mortgage rates, and population growth. Some of the key drivers that will have an impact on our forecast are the moderating pace of growth in the Canadian economy from recent strong levels. We also expect a rise in interest rates, and together these two factors will cause the housing market to slow. So with existing home sales, we do expect that the level to increase slightly, but will remain below recent peaks, while housing starts will gradually decline in 2019 and 2020. Some of the key risks to our outlook include trade tensions. Now, there are both upside and downside risks here. Another key risk relates to household debt. And then finally, if we look at housing markets and look at overvaluation, this is a key risk to our forecast as well, although this is a risk that has been improving in recent quarters. However, overvaluation still exists, and therefore is a risk that we continue to monitor that could have an impact on the housing market forecast.
Sorry, when you say overvaluation,
Yes.
is that in terms of the price of housing in Toronto?
That's right. So when we're comparing it to like 3 to 5 years back, where a house maybe could was priced at around $400,000, it's like priced at $1 million. So the gap between those two is so high, and that's what we consider vulnerable, right? Because who's going to be able to? There's only a certain percentage of Canadians that would be able to afford those type of housing. So that is why we've really seen the tighter mortgage rules come into play over the past few years to really kind of balance the market. And we are already seeing that with housing prices, in the effect of it's being lowered. So we see reduced prices.
So the projection in an overvaluation and the vulnerability, the opinion of vulnerability in the Toronto market would be that there's a prediction for a market correction, a market crash, a decrease in pricing, a decrease in... So
we've really seen the effects, right, of the new rules that come into play over the past 2 years. And the correction was that we see a more balanced market. So where, we've really seen where home prices 700 plus have really taken more of a reduced price versus homes between, 300, outside the GTA there are 300 to say 700, where we may see more of, price bidding wars and such because it's a more affordable home. So could you comment on the houses that you put up for sale? Comparing to today's prices and the prices a few years ago, has that market in that area, has it reduced?
I haven't seen a decline in
They
pricing.
haven't come down.
They haven't come
No,
down.
but it's stabilized before you would get 25
Sure.
offers and it would go crazy and it would sell for $1
Yes.
million. But the price has remained at $1 million. It's just that it's not going up the 23% a year.
Right.
As opposed to now it's going up to 3.5% or the 4 or 5%,
Yes.
depending on the style of home.
Right, and
But
that
it-
makes
but it
sense.
But it hasn't dropped. Home
Yes.
prices haven't dropped.
So in some markets, it has dropped, but not significantly.
Not
Where
Toronto.
No, but yeah, exactly. It depends on what market area, but at the same time is with the new rules that came into play, it's done exactly what they wanted, and it's to really balance the market. Because you think about it, if it kept going the way it was, the increasing, who's going to be, who would be able to afford, right? And what benefit would it be for Canadians? So that is why it was really important to be able to balance the market in that aspect and having those rules come into play.
The chart, the vulnerability chart that had the Toronto with the red dots, if you look at the ones with the green dots that aren't vulnerable, you're looking at Montreal, you're looking at Calgary,
Yeah.
St. John's,
St.
which
John's,
their
yeah.
markets are kind of tanked, so.
Exactly. So it's really the focus of vulnerability was Toronto and Vancouver, and we've been saying that for 6 or 9 quarters.
Sorry,
Yes,
I've
and
been
that
hearing
has
that for 9
changed.
years. Since
Yeah.
08, I've heard the Toronto market is due
Yeah,
for
so
a crash,
I-
the bubble's gonna
Yeah.
pop, or,
Well, CMHC never said that there's a bubble or the market's going to crash, nothing
Right.
like that at all. We're very, our financial system is very healthy.
yeah.
That being said, it is overvaluated in some markets, so
Have they ever said that in the last 10 years?
that there is
There's a
the bubble.
bubble,
Never said that, no.
People use bubble, but I think bubble is the States where there wasn't the balance in checks.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're reselling all the mortgages. We don't have that in Canada. So slowing, yes, but
Yes.
bubble doesn't exist here.
Yeah, no, we've never.
Did you hear that? Bubble.
You hear it because people like the
But you're
phrase, and,
exactly,
it's.
exactly.
It's almost like a scare
It's
tactic
trauma.
in a sense, but it's really not.
Yeah.
I mean, we're continuing to stabilize the market and keep it healthy, and that is why the rules were put into place to keep it healthy. Just keep that in mind.
But as CMHC being a market leader in terms of lending and insured mortgages and first-time home buyer availability, the availability of the first-time home buyers, like in the next year, what press is CMHC going to be releasing in terms, like if they put out a comment saying that the Toronto market's overvaluated, they could have a significant impact on the Toronto market.
But we've been saying that for a few years now, right? I mean, I think someone just said they've been hearing it since 2008. That,
I did.
oh, okay, that, Toronto's always overvaluated. I mean, there are markets and areas that, are a million plus, and it should, what they're comparing to is our indebtedness as well. Our indebtedness is at an all-time high at 178%. And when you're comparing apples to apples from the States in 2008, their indebtedness percentage was the same. And so it's good to be cautious, as well as we want to help all Canadians. Are we going to be a world leader in housing? Well, we are a world leader in housing, but if we want to compare like to New York or in other large cities across the world where it's just unaffordable, where getting into housing is just really a luxury, we want to make sure that all Canadians have access. So if you're looking to get updated on our housing market, please follow me at CMHC, or you can sign up to our e-newsletter. So I'm not an economist, just wanted to say that. I'm just sharing the news. But if you'd like to learn more, if you have any other pressing questions that maybe I didn't answer, just send me an email or send Gregory an email and he can send it to me. Okay? So just on the next slide is Equifax. So this is a new initiative for CMHC. We are working very closely with them, and we are extrapolating the data, not the personal information, of course not. And we are sharing the data to our industry partners. So Equifax, just to give you some history, has about 85% of the mortgage data across Canada. So it represents a large marketplace, and so it's a great tool for us to provide insights. And this report says that new loans decreased by 6% from 2016 to 2017. And really the highest channel where we've noted the decrease is in renewals, because we're not seeing clients, when they're coming up for renewal, flipping from one lender to another, right? So that's really, that kind of habit is not at a halt, but it's definitely slowed. And it's most noted in Toronto and Vancouver, because it is the largest markets, followed by refinances and repeat buyers. So again, the repeat buyers, it doesn't, so even though that segment has decreased, does it necessarily mean 2019 and moving forward that that's going to be the same? Our speculation could be that a lot of home buyers are kind of waiting at the sidelines to kind of see the market, kind of how it's going to play out.
Did you say the number went down? It's
sorry?
it's in blue there. It looks like 9 point, was it 2, 5, and then 6? Isn't that the bottom where it says repeat buyers?
Yes, repeat buyers is just another
So
channel
they're actually-
where there's a decrease.
So is it a decrease or an increase?
No, this is just decreases. They're just showing you like the percentage of the decrease is 9.6 is what
Oh, I
it is.
see.
Yeah. And so in the first quarter of 2018, more than $3.1 million in HELOCs was recorded being used and $1.1 million being untapped. So it's just, insights to share with you. Ontario really remains middle in the pack, where Atlanta is usage for HELOCs is at its highest. And Canadians owe about $1.69 credit per every $1 disposable income. So as I talked to you about the indebtedness being high, we are seeing usages of credit cards and lines of credits much higher. And so this is new, hot off the press. Again, I'm not even economist, I'm sharing the wealth of information, so I hope you enjoy it. So the overall vacancy rate is 1.2%. The average rental in the GTA is 1,359, up 4.9%. So really, the rising housing costs of homeownership has really encouraged individuals to seek rental housing units because they can't afford to get into housing, because possibly the overvaluation and they can't afford it. And as a result, the average vacancy rate for private purpose-built rental apartments in the GTA remained near the lowest level observed in the previous 6 years. So we just released this report. And if you're interested in increasing the supply of rental units, a new initiative from CMHC, we are offering $3.75 billion in new loans geared towards building a new purpose-built rental housing. Is anyone interested in this? If you are, I'm not the expert in this, but it is $1 million loan is the minimum. And we work with lenders to provide low-cost funding. So if you're interested, please send Gregory an email and I can get someone to contact you.
I do have a question about that.
Yes.
So that's saying new rental housing. So if you've got existing residential and you want to convert that to multiple units, does that qualify?
It would qualify, yes, because you're increasing the supply of rental housing. Okay, and it is geared towards markets where it's needed. Okay. So in line with the National Housing Strategy and helping Canadians meet their dreams of housing, Government of Ontario does provide a 10% down payment assistance loan. Okay, so it's not in Toronto. We used to have it years back, but it is in Hamilton, Windsor, Simcoe, and Dufferin counties. Okay, so if your clients happen to reside in these areas and they're wanting to buy, the government's going to give them 10% down payment. And so the caveat is they need to be renters first. And usually the purchase price is not over $500,000, right? Because it's only for, this product is really only for, a certain circle of Canadians, yes.
So if they're a Torontonian renting in Toronto, but they want to buy in Hamilton, that works?
No, they have to, I know.
Because I have a lot of that,
Yeah.
people moving out that way.
But it's still a great marketing piece for yourself. I know even though you reside in Toronto, you can sell anywhere in Ontario, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's just, another avenue for you if you're looking to increase your business that way, but it is available. Some municipalities, there's a 6-month waiting hold. I know in Orangeville, because it's a hotter market, it's surprisingly there's no waiting list, and Dufferin County there is. So that would be, Simcoe County, that would be up in Barrie, Alliston area.
What is the name of this? Is it?
So what you need to group,
If I'm
so
Googling it?
yeah, so we don't manage it anymore, but it's called social housing. And look under like the municipalities. So you want to go into Hamilton in the municipality site and then put social housing.
Oh, okay,
And
so
then
I
you'll
go
see
into
it.
Hamilton, I go to social housing.
Exactly.
And there's this program will come
And then
up,
you'll see the
it's called-
10%.
It's called home ownership program or?
Yeah, it's called, so each of them call it different,
Okay.
but go with
Okay.
the home ownership program and 10% down payment.
Sorry, Andrea, I have a question.
Yes.
In order for someone to qualify, and let's say You just have to show them that you live in Hamilton, that's your residence.
So, yes, exactly. So they can't live with mom and dad, they gotta be a true renter, and they just gotta have to show, let's say, a lease agreement that they have, that they're renting in this area. So this is why it's important to partner with BMO. Segueing it over to Gregory.
It has to be like a first-time buyer, or it could?
It's a first-time buyer.
Has to be first-time buyer?
From my understanding, it is. But all, you know what, it's best to just call it a municipality. We just don't manage it anymore, I'm just sharing the knowledge. But your clients do need a pre-approval in order to get that piece of paper that says your client can go and buy a house within 60 days. So it's important to pass your, you know, clients to BMO, we support them, and then we could be coming over to CMHC for insurance. All right. How much time do I have? I don't want to take up too much time. Am I good? Okay, perfect. So next we're going to go to our brand new website, and I'm going to share all that we have to offer for you.
Have you seen the new CMHC.ca? We've listened to your feedback, and it's full of helpful features designed around you. The new site is mobile friendly, with intuitive navigation and a comprehensive advanced search. The revamped calculators can be used on any device. They're easy to navigate, and they let you make side-by-side comparisons to explore more options. Calculations can be saved and even shared directly from the site. If you're looking for funding, you'll soon have access to a centralized application process for National Housing Strategy initiatives, such as the Rental Construction Financing Initiative and many others. Over time, you'll be able to track the status of your applications in one place. There's also a new one-stop shop for all your research and data needs. This approach makes it easier to find exactly what you need. You'll also find more data visualizations and insights in context across the site, and you'll have easier access to housing market information. As you find the answers to your questions, you'll also see content recommendations that can help you explore each topic further. If you regularly use CMHC's tools and information, a free My CMHC account lets you save the pages you use most in one convenient place. It also lets you subscribe to content so you can be notified when specific information is added or updated. A My CMHC account will also let you manage your newsletter subscriptions in one place. Finally, you can create a sharing signature with your picture, contact information, website, and more to send professional emails directly from the site. You can use this to share articles, calculators, how-to guides, reports, data, and more with your clients or contacts. The new features are designed to make your life easier. Whether you're a mortgage broker, housing manager, builder, real estate agent, researcher, or first-time home buyer, we're here for you. Let us help you meet your housing needs.
So the site is mobile friendly. If you had an app from CMHC, it no longer exists anymore. And so I encourage you, if you were signed up on the other mortgage professional site, you do need to re-register. I also provided home buying step-by-step guides. They are brand new. So we rewrapped them last year. They also come with a workbook. But it's funny enough, every time I go and order, they always tell me that it's sold out. It's so popular. If you're interested in receiving these for your clients, please, again, reach out to Gregory and we'll place an order for you.
So that is no longer available?
Oh, no, it is. It's just, so there's an extension to the book. It's a workbook, so clients can go on, do their budget, or there's a house checklist when they're out with you looking for homes. But everything's also online as well. So
It's not an app, like it was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
an app.
Oh, yeah, it's on there. So the app no longer works, but our site is mobile friendly, so it's essentially like an app.
That's-
All right. So, are you guys familiar with our mortgage consumer survey? Have you heard of that? So every year we actually survey active mortgage consumers, and they're telling us their attitudes and behaviors on, how they obtain a mortgage, who do they go to first. So, realtors are obviously very highly valued. You offer a lot of knowledge, and they really respect you in the process, is what our survey told us. But other than that, we have some really great insights helping you to really grow your business and just to really have a better understanding how you can increase client satisfaction. If you're ever interested, please let me know and I can come back. CMHC also announced October 1st that we made new enhancements to our self-employed program. So before, our traditional program still remains the same. 2 years or greater in the business, we take line 150, we average, or a client can demonstrate over 4 years that their income is growth, then we can take the ladder of the income and then gross that up by 15%. So our new enhancements is for any self-employed borrower 24 months or less, okay? And so it's not a stated product, it is a predictive model. So if someone's acquiring an established business, there's history. If someone is going from one business, in the same line of business, salary to self-employed, that makes sense to us as well. So again, we want to prove income. We allow for add-backs and as well as whichever is greater, the add-backs or the write-offs. So here's where it's really at with this product. It's such an infancy stages. Not a lot of lenders have signed on yet, maybe one. And so we are projecting in 2019 more lenders will be signed on. But again, if you do have clients like this, I still encourage you to contact Gregory. Actually, BMO is my priority account in the GTA, so I work very closely with them to try and see if we can insure their clients' deals. All right, so legalization of cannabis. So where we stand is that we are insuring homes where there's a legal amount of cannabis, obviously not for funding, not for income purposes. We already did insure remediated homes. So we are unique in that standpoint, I think, compared to the other insurers, but I'm not 100% sure.
Sorry, homes growing illegal amount of cannabis or just homes containing illegal amount?
Containing, not growing, containing. So if you had the 4 plants, or maybe you have like a medical note or a doctor's note, right? Anything that abides against the law, you have to follow the law. So whatever the law says, that CMHC said that we would insure, obviously case by case, we need to look at it. And you still need to find a lender that's going to fund for that purpose. So again, it's not a home buyer who's growing marijuana and that's their income revenue source. No, it's just a hobby, and they have the 4 legal, I think it's 4 plants, 4 legal plants in their house. That's what we're saying. All right. Okay, so this is the last part of my presentation. It's funny. Did I say something funny?
No.
Oh, good.
It's all about marijuana.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the qualifying questions
I know.
regarding marijuana.
I know, right? It's always a bit of a giggle when I'm like, yeah, I'm going to talk about marijuana, yes. So here are the suite of all of our products that's going to help meet your clients' needs. So what's important to note about a CMHC insured mortgage is that the products that are available for your clients, let's think of the older housing stock here in Toronto. Maybe there needs to be some renovations that need to be done. With keeping that in mind, we do not insure refinances. So it's important you're the face of the client and aligned with an expert mortgage specialist that you need to talk to your clients about. Let's roll in the renovations into an all-in-one mortgage, which you can do at time of purchase, and you can make your home green at the same time and get a rebate back. So any energy efficient, so Energy Star homes that are resale or new homes, or making your home green, you can get 15% premium refund. So let's say on a $750,000 purchase price, 5% down payment, the insurance premium would be around $28,000. Clients can get up to around $4,000 back. So this also applies to condos that are LEED certified. Okay? They have to be insured through CMHC. Now, we also insure mortgages that are conventional. Think of, your rental, your investors, anyone wanting to buy a rental unit, and it doesn't meet the minimum qualifications for square footage among the lenders. We have no minimum, so we do have a lot of business, conventional business, that is insured through CMHC, and that would be a reason. And if they're buying a condo that is LEED certified, they also would get the benefit of the rebates. Newcomers, so anyone that's new to Canada, 5% down payment is all we look at. And why are we approving someone that is new to Canada that has no established credit history? Because we would like to see at least 1 year of some type of establishment. So let's say they're renting a home, then BMO could say, yes, I've confirmed that they are renting for 1 year and no late payments. So we typically like to see 3 bills to help reestablish that credit worthiness. And of course, portability. Anyone that is insured can port their mortgage to a new property. Anyone that just got into a home that's insured and they said, I can't afford it any longer, we hold the premium as a credit at our office. Should they purchase within 2 years, we would then apply that credit back. Does anyone have questions?
The last part,
Yes.
I didn't understand.
How
will you hold the credit of?
Yeah, so let's say the premium was $28,000 and within 6 months of getting into the house, they just want to go back and live with mom and dad, then we would hold $28,000 as a credit at our office so that when they're ready to purchase again within 2 years, then the BMO would need to notify us and then we would apply that credit. So it also helps for qualification purposes because we really don't need to add that amount on the loan because it's on the loan, but we don't need to put it in for qualification because it's a credit. Yes.
Does CMHC apply the same stress test as banks do?
Yes, I was just going to talk about that. So yes and no. So we're not a part of the B20 rules. So our rate stress testing is benchmark or contract, whichever is higher. So it's obviously benchmark right now. We don't take the contract +2 on insured mortgages. And that applies for conventional insured mortgages as well. Any other questions? All right, thank you so much for the opportunity to come out and share all this information with you. Please follow me on LinkedIn and get all the great updates. Yes.
Sorry, I do have a question. With
Yeah,
regards
okay.
to, if somebody wanted to put on a first-time buyer seminar, you
Right.
said you guys would, what's involved with that? I would say I want to do that, I find a place, invite the people and just call the 2 of you up and you show up?
Sometimes if you want, you can make arrangements with Adam, we can facilitate it in the branch as well. After hours, yeah. It depends on the availability of the branch, of course. Like sometimes certain branches have area restrictions, I mean square footage wise. Some branches are big enough to allow us to get agents to bring their clients over there as well.
Is there a minimum or amount of people that?
I would come in for 1 client, no problem.
There's no minimum
There's
for
no
me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
No.
okay.
Because the reality is you could send out 50 invitations
Yeah,
and you
right.
may only get
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
And you know what, we're here to help Canadians and really educate them. So if the 5, you may benefit out of it at the end of the day.
Are there any incentives for, say for instance, say myself, I want to buy an investment property, I want to buy a condo and rent it out. So in terms of getting an insured loan, or like the fixed rate that you quoted at 3.79, is that an insured loan?
No, that is not insured. The rate has nothing to do with the insured or not.
Wasn't it
insured.
if you don't have an insured loan, you pay more interest?
No, insurance has nothing to do with the rate. Insurance comes only for qualification. Let's say a person has only 5% down.
Right. No,
Yes.
No, I heard that you could get, sometimes it's almost beneficial to get an insured loan, even though you can put down 20% and pay the premium, because you can get a better rate. So in the long run,
We don't differentiate. BMO's rates are very favorable.
Okay.
It may be what you're talking about is with the monoline lenders, they may offer products like insurable. But so if you're wanting to buy a condo, so you could get insurance through CMHC, but it would have to be 20% down payment. It has to be a 2+ unit. So it still has to come through BMO and it still comes through us and you're going to pay. So typically why rentals come to us is maybe they don't fall in the whole scope of lending at BMO or other lenders. So they say, you know what, instead of putting your client or you into the B or the private market where you're paying higher rates and all these fees, let's send it to CMHC. You're going to pay a very nominal percentage. Now, I didn't have that part of my presentation, the chart and what it really looks like. If you want me to pull it up, I can show you, or we can, talk offline.
Okay, I'll talk about that.
Okay.
So to piggyback on that question, my understanding is if you own a property, to buy a second property, you would need a 20% down payment, which would eliminate the need for CMHC, wouldn't it?
So if he doesn't have a mortgage at all, and he just wants to buy a rental property, then that still would be fine. So for us, we allow one borrower to be insured through CMHC, so let's say to you, and then you go, okay, I want to buy another property, you wouldn't be able to come to CMHC because you're actively insured on our books. You would have to go to like CG or General.
Am I wrong in my understanding that you need 20% for a second property?
Usually for rental properties, because the second property, it all depends how you're gonna designate it. Let's say some people say, hey, I wanna just, they're living in their house for 5 years or like 4 years, whichever. Okay, time to move, we're gonna go to another property. And that's gonna be their owner occupied property with 20% down, so you can live in, you can buy the house. So if it's designated owner occupied,
Yeah.
okay, you can have your 20%. Anything rental, it's gonna be 75% or so.
So you need 25% down
30%?
25%, yeah.
to buy the investment.
Again, it is case by case, because like sometimes it depends on the whole profile of the client, exceptions could be made. Because like a specific client, comes with a perfect history of income and credit and so on and so forth, downtown Toronto house, it's all about mitigating risk for the bank per se. And if there's no risk, so be it, 20% it is. But rule of thumb is, just to prepare the clients, because if you're gonna go to the let's say investment property, 25% is what you're looking at. Now, we can score you the 20% down, bonus.
Actually, it's right here. So I also wanted to keep note is that we also allow for borrowed down payment at CMHC. So anytime your clients still have an extra $5,000 or $10,000 and they qualify and they're insured, then you can borrow instead of waiting an extra year for them to save up that money.
So up to 10,000?
Sorry?
Up to.
So no, it can be any amount. So let's say your client goes, you know what, I need another 10,000 to save up for down payment, let's wait a year, right? So if you're speaking with a mortgage specialist and they determine that, you know what, this client has a beacon of 650 and he could qualify for borrowing the 10,000, which could be put on the line of credit or credit card, then you can facilitate that transaction today versus waiting a year.
What's the interest rates on your loans?
So this is just the insurance charge. We would charge 4.50 on a 95% loan to value. If it was, they had 10% down, then it's just the regular 3.10%. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.